Good evening, everybody. It is I once more, returning with another macabre, original tale from my very own twisted mind. As I described before in the prior story, this channel will initially thrive on the premise of original stories. However, I'd like to say once more, I'm always interested to hear any ideas from yourselves, whether it's just a simple premise, a topic, or even if you have the idea of sharing a phobia that you feel would make an interesting tale. I would love to hear, and even more so, to translate it into something even more terrifying. However, I digress. We're all here to listen to another horrifying story. And tonight, we're listening to one that I would like to call That Which Lingers. Here we are. After considerable planning, booking time off, and location scouting, we are finally here. Myself and my friends, Alex and Scott, have been watching a few of those stealth camping and urban exploration videos. You know, the ones where a guy will go out and venture into the middle of nowhere, maybe a supposedly haunted place, and stay overnight. Well, that's what we're going to be doing, but with a slight twist. It's not often you hear a group doing this sort of thing. However, we're all going to be staying in the same tall-ass building, but we'll be doing so on different floors, complete with cheap as hell walkie-talkies and camping gear. We've been driving for several hours until it finally comes into view. The building named Moorside View, or at least that's what the nearest sign says. Whether that's the name of the building, or just where it is, we're not entirely sure. I guess you could say we never really did do enough research. For in one forum we were told it was an old hotel, but in a number of others it was referred to as some kind of hospital, or at least something of that description. But once there, we now stand before an old and withered, collapsing concrete skeleton. It's still relatively early, almost 5 PM as we pull up. We take a moment to scan the place. We already drove the perimeter, checking for any security, and as we hoped, the place is free reign. I turn to Scott, and it's hard to tell whether he's excited, nervous, or all of the above. He turns to me. So, we're doing this, right? I nod in agreement. I turn to the back seat. Alex, putting on as big of a smile as possible. She's been putting on a bravado the entire time. It's hard to tell really whether she's actually scared or excited most of the time, so you just have to choose one or the other. But I'd say in this instance it's probably a bit of both. Slowly, but surely, we make our way towards a building, and to its entrance, 2 large double doors. The paint is cracked, flaking, and before entering the empowering stench of musk and all things that read derelict burned our senses, we continued inside, passing through various rooms, some empty and some with what looked like beds of some kind. With only about an hour or so of daylight, the natural light faded the deeper we ventured into the building. It didn't take long before we needed to use our torches, and when we did, it truly exposed the building in all its rotten, decrepit state. This place was everything we could have hoped for, and more. Although, it really felt like something wasn't right. The immense quiet, the intense stench that permeated. It wasn't quite like damp, mould, or the usual smell you would have expected. It was something else. Something spoiled. After an hour or so, we finally determined our camping spots. The idea was to be roughly a floor apart. That way, we can easily find each other if we need to, especially with the walkie-talkies if necessary. We noticed some of the typical expected things as we continued exploring. Empty cans, bottles, and an abundance of graffiti. Pentagrams, inverted crosses, the usual edgy crap people do to either scare people away or to just spill their sad edginess. We, however, paid it little attention. We noticed Alex had gone quiet. Not her usual talkative self. I couldn't tell whether it is the deep dark graffiti, quite proudly announcing, "Get out." I'd given her one of my spare torches, which is not the most reliable, but damn, it's funny seeing her face when the thing starts to flicker. I turned to them both. "So, shall we start deciding on who's going to be staying where?" Scott stares on. "Hey, I'm going to call this floor." He obviously knew where we'd already explored most of the floor. It'd probably be the best and potentially safest option, being it's nearer to the entrance, and well, I guess you could say exit. Alex then turned to me. "If Scott's calling this floor, can I stick with you?" I took a deep breath. I didn't expect she'd go ahead with the whole camping thing, despite proclaiming herself as unafraid. But seeing she made it this far, well, that's impressive in its own right. "Yeah, sure. So long as you don't mind us exploring and going around the place for a little bit longer." She nodded in agreement. We found this large room to the end of the corridor. Clearly part of the old, what I guess was the hospital, but seemed to be in good condition. It was some kind of office, considering it still had a desk, chair, and even a sofa. Wow, Scott really did strike lucky. "Well, ladies, this is me." Scott slung his pack onto the desk and threw himself down onto his sofa. "Close the door on your way out," he laughed at us. Alex and I looked at one another, rolling our eyes, and left him to his room. We continued on down the corridor, intent on exploring the building in a little bit more detail. After some time, we came across this long stairwell hidden towards the back end of another corner. I knew she didn't feel great about it, but I reassured her. "Hey, there's 3 of us. And if we need Scott, we have our walkie-talkies." After a moment convincing, we eventually made our way down. I then recognised that smell again, the old spoiled odour. I decided not to make a thing of it. After all, the place is old. It's bound to have an odd smell. We eventually reach the end of the stairs, and my torch lights up another corridor. This one is different. All the doors are large, heavy, metal, and they appear to be padlocked. The walls are all decorated in what appears to be eyes. Black sprayed on eyes and peculiar shapes. After trying the doors with no luck, we reach the final door directly in front and at the end of the corridor. Unlike the others, this one doesn't have a padlock. Instead, there's a sharp wooden stake driven through where the padlock should be. I turn to Alex. Hey, we've made it this far. We can't walk away now, can we? Alex's torch flickers and finally gives in. She looks at me with her big eyes. I reassure her, handing her mine, and her hand grabs my wrist before I can pull out the makeshift lock. Let's call Scott first. I smile as I release the lock. A face lit with shock and despair as the door opens, releasing a putrid stink. Our eyes water and my stomach curdles. Alex retches and stumbles back, bringing her hand to cover her mouth. I gesture for her torch as I notice a thick fog of dust or something filling the room. The light can barely cut through. I take a step inside when Alex interrupts me, shaking her head intensely. I pause and I about turn, leaving out a hefty sigh in reluctant agreement, when something grabs my hair, pulling tight with a horrific growl, followed by the gut-wrenching stench. I let out a violent scream as Alex scampers back up to her feet. I finally free myself as whatever grabbed me loses its grip. We both make speed, running as fast as our bodies will allow, almost falling. My heart burning in my chest, my throat dry. Bubbles boil in my stomach as I hurl a fizzing pool of vomit. Alex is already climbing up the stairs, neither of us looking back, too terrified, too intent on getting out. My legs seize as I ascend the staircase. The torch flickers, strobes. I lose my footing and slip. My body slams as I slide down several hard steps. That familiar grip tightens around my ankle, followed by a pungent snarl, its voice obscured by vile liquid that bubbles as it sounds. I'm in a haze, unable to focus. I realise, whatever it is trying to pull me down the steps. There's someone is trying to pull me up. I raise my head to see Alex, her eyes wild, a scream waking me, bringing me to my senses. I thrash and kick back with all my strength, eventually fighting free. Tears strew down my filth-cloaked face, my head pounding. I force myself forward, Alex still holding my hand, pulling me up as we climb up and out of the cursed stairwell, our bodies shaking, and I stumble to the ground. My stomach burns, heat reaches my throat as a second spew of hot vomit sprays from my mouth. "Get up!" Alex screams. The thing snarls and growls, resonating towards us. It too is climbing up from the staircase and up to our corridor. We rise to our feet once more in a panic, fighting with all we have, no sense, only the drive to escape. No time to think. I just follow Alex in a dizzy haze. I finally realise where we are. We're nearing the office where we left Scott. We reach the door and burst inside. But his pack is not on the desk. Scott is not here. Alex grabs me, checking my face, my head, my leg, a vulgar remnant of mucus. or what looks like a viscous brown and green residue. What is going on here? Then I remember. For walkie-talkies, Alex. Alex grabs mine from my belt and presses the PTT button and whispers for Scott. Scott! Scott! No response. She tries again. Scott! But she's interrupted as he replies. Where the hell are you guys? Your office. Where are you? I thought I heard something. I thought I heard you guys. I had to go see if you. Stay where you are. I'll come to you now. Before we could reply, the familiar sound of vile gurgles echoed down the hallway. I hush Alex desperately. His heavy mass slaps on the tiles as it progresses through the hallway, closer to us. We can hear its throat bubble and boil, that vulgar stench reaching us. Now I can recognize it. It's acidic, corrosive, like bile. I feel my stomach beginning to bubble again as the scent enters my nostrils, once more burning my senses. We feel it, the smell drawing closer. We hold each other tightly, shaking with fear, staring at the door. There's no way out, only one way in. And the other side of this door, it draws near. It's very close now. It's at the door. It snarls once more, an acidic, bubbling hiss. Then it pauses, growing silent. We notice its shadow, no longer permeating the frosted glass of the door. Distant footsteps sound through the hall. Nearing the office, a voice calls out. What the hell is that smell? Guys! Guys, are you in there? As his footsteps near the door, we hear him as he turns the door handle, but it's locked. In the midst of a panic, Alex must have latched it. I attempt to raise to my feet to unlock it for him, but Alex pulls me back down. I turn to see her face dwelling with tears as she shakes her head. And like that, a violent scream sounds out. It's Scott. The sound of his body being thrown into the door, cracking the thick frosted glass as a dark liquid spews over. He cries and screams as he thrashes. Then that familiar snarl. Scott's screams are drowned out by the pervading stench as his cries become inundated with distorted hissing, gargles, until a sudden slump. Moments after, a foamy organic matter spews from beneath the door, falling to our feet as we shake in each other's arms. It grows quiet as the stench recedes. We listen carefully as we hear it drag Scott slowly away in the distance. We hear his body slam again and again down each step, descending into the dark, boggy abyss. We open the door with a click, looking only to the ceiling. I look out and trip. I slip, my body falling into a foamy pool of blood, tissue, flesh, softened bone. I scratch at the floor and regain my footing. I grab a lump of what is it, his hair. Alex pulls me up once again. Alex, the hero once more. We sprint forward, no care for what could happen, for the stench, for that thing. We only want to get out. Well, guys, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that one. I don't know if you could tell what the theme was in that story, but it was definitely vomit. Yeah, doing something a little bit different there. You don't hear many scary stories themed around vomiting, so I thought it'd be an interesting tale. So, I hope to be releasing these stories once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. It all depends on how well the channel progresses. I have many more macabre tales to come. So for now, stalk me by subscribing. And as always, keep it creepy.